What's up, guys? This is J Quad here with Kabaj Games, kicking off a brand new exciting series called Let's Make a Game, where we're going to create a game from scratch. Now, the first thing we got to do is have an idea. Now, the idea I have for this game that we're going to be creating is in the era of cavemen. Why cavemen? Because I like cavemen. You know what else I like? Iced coffee. If you ever see me without iced coffee in a video, it's probably because I'm sick, because iced coffee is the most delicious thing in the world. But, back to the game. Now, the first thing we want to do is, first thing I like to do is set up a playing field. And basically, we're just going to set up a small map, not so detailed, not yet, to kind of give us a testing ground, so we can always go back and test any little feature that we're going to be doing. And it's a really nice thing to have. So to start off, what we want to do with a brand new Unity 3D free version window up is go to Game Object, Create Other, and go all the way down to Terrain. And that is going to give us just this little plane right here. Well, it's not little, it's huge. So there are ways you can go into your settings for the terrain and change the resolution to make it bigger, smaller, whatever fits your needs. But this plane right here is plenty big enough to keep us going for testing for a while. Now the next thing I want to talk about, now that we have our terrain set, just this plain flat area, is lighting. Now you have to have good lighting on this, because when you start raising and lowering any part of the terrain, you're not really going to be able to see it too well if you don't have lighting. So I like to add a couple of lights at least. So we're going to go back into Game Objects, go to Create Other, and a couple point lights will be just fine for now. Or you can do a directional light, which a lot of people like to use, but I find just for small areas of testing that point lights work a little better. We can always go back in and change it later. Okay, and then we want to bring that over here on the side where it says position to 0, 0, 0. And then F to focus in on anything that you have selected. So we're going to select the point light, hit F, and it'll drag us right to it. Easy. Now we can manipulate it. So we're going to move it into a little area that we're going to be testing. Okay, and as we drag it down, you can start to see the light spread across it, but we're going to change the settings to it anyway, so I'm going to bring it up here. We're going to go over into the inspector, and in the settings we're going to change the range to 50. Okay, now we have a huge area, well, compared to before, huge area of light in which to start off a character testing point for the character to start in. Now I am going to take this and hit Control D to duplicate that light we just made, bring it over here, bring it up, and we are going to make this range about 200. No, I lied. We're going to make it about 500. Okay, that's a lot better. Now we can start sculpting out a little bit more of a testing area, a testing map. But I am going to, again, Control D to duplicate and move a couple of these around the map just to light it up for us decently. Like I said, a lot of people do this with directional light, which is kind of like a sun that just spreads over the whole plane, giving you light over the whole plane. But just for details and testing, I like to have the point lights. Okay, now that we have it lit up a bit, we can start sculpting it. Now to do this, you select the terrain and you go to the first tab here in the settings in the inspector, And you can play around with all of this. You have different kinds of brushes. I like to stick to just the basic first one. Different situations call for different things, but for the most part, this is the one to use. And you can change the brush size here, the opacity, and just draw her on. See what happens? Starts raising in small little areas there. And if you change the opacity, it does it less so. But we're going to get rid of that and bring our brush size way up, all the way, and slowly go over this, because if you don't slowly go over it, what I found is you end up getting really choppy hills and just connect the dot looking maps that look like crap. Just kind of want to slowly go over it here. And like I said, details are going to be worked out later, but this is all just for testing and a nice start to a map. Now if we zoom in, we can see slight hills, barely. And then we're going to shape out pieces closer in. Alright. Give us a little bit of a hill area. Okay, and now that we have that, just to get a better view of what we're doing, like actually be able to walk around in it, we're going to go to Game Object. I lied to you. We're going to go to Assets. Create. Import. Sorry. We're going to go Import Character Controllers. We're going to import everything you see here. Just have it all checked and click that import button. And we'll give it a second to load. Let our computer think a bit. Okay, we have it imported. We go to our characters, and then in your project panel, you have first person controller. Just drag that right on there. And this may not be a first person game, but just for testing and seeing everything that's going on the map, we want to do that. We'll bring that over here. Now what you want to do is zoom in enough, or hit F to focus, and bring this up so that green cage around it, which is a collider, is above ground. Because otherwise what's going to happen when you hit play, it's going to drop right through and you're just going to keep falling. So now if we hit play, this is already all set up for this. The first person controller is already all set up for you. See, and now what we have is we can walk around and see what we just created on that terrain. Now, like I said, this terrain is pretty big. So for testing purposes, you don't even need it this big. You can bring it down if you want. But I don't see any reason to bring it down because you're probably going to be using it later anyways for the actual map. So you can kind of walk around and see all your hills and see what you've done. And we'll get more into creating the terrain and fine-tuning it and making it really good looking later. And probably in the next episode or the one after that, I'm going to show you how to texture it. Create grass, dirt, cliff sides, sand, whatever you want. Just paint her right on. And I will show you how to create some of those in a video or a photo editing software, namely GIMP. That's a software that I like to use mainly because it's free, and I like free. Everyone loves free. So there you go. You can get a little look around at what you have, and we'll start sculpting a little area around more towards near our start, so we don't have to walk so far to get there. Okay, and the next thing you're gonna want to do here, after you get that all sorted out and everything and making it look decent, is kind of think of borders, because it's really annoying when you go into your game and sometimes over a hill you cannot see where the edge is, and you just whoop, fall right off. It's really annoying. So what you want to do then is go back into your terrain, go to your editing kit over here in that first tab in the inspector panel, second tab, sorry, called paint height. Now what we're going to do is bring the height, let's say to 20. Okay, and we'll zoom in so you can see what it does. I'll bring the brush size down for you. And when you do that, it paints it right to that height right there. And that's what we want. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to bring our brush size down anyways here. Okay, and what we're trying to do with this is just create a little cliffside border for us, and you can give it some variation so it doesn't look just square. Just play around with it, see what you like, and later on, like I said, we will be texturing it all kinds of cool cliffside colors for a caveman like world. And what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna do a little border right here for now, just a little section of the map. Give you some little inlets here. And what we're going to do later on here is leave an area without borders so we can make kind of an ocean kind of thing around it. And with that ocean, maybe incorporate fishing later on when you get the tools for it or whatever, because it's going to kind of be, at least in my eyes, free roam kind of caveman thing. And I'm kind of looking more towards the cartoony side of things, because I don't usually make games like that, and I like the idea of trying new things, so that's what I'm going to do. Alright, well that is all I have time for today, but there's more to come, much more. We have a whole game to plan and create. So, till next time guys, you'll see me in video 3.